Hi everyone, this is Michelle Markey with Medina Domestic Art Studio with our first Zen by the Sea animal critter. This is going to be a new series that I will release during the spring of 2021, and have actually sold a couple of these kits already. So I wanted to get a quick video out on how to do some of the shading coloring with Inktense pencils. By the way, all instructions will be listed out on my website as well as this video under Zen by the Sea. There's a special category on my website under facts. Actually, I think you have to hit the more button in order to get it. Anyway, I wanted to show you here real quick. The instructions show a picture of the coloring tools. So those are the gel pens. And then these are all the Inktense pencils. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on his neck for the shading. There's also quite a bit of shading in here. So I wanted to just go through how you do shading with Inktense pencils, and most of the rest of the excuse me, of the turtle is done in a similar fashion. So I'm going to try to keep this video brief. There are other videos on my website that you can watch where you can get some ideas. And of course, the instructions themselves are all done in a paint by number format. So you should be able to follow along and color it and make it look as close as the coloring that I did on the quilt itself. So we're going to also be using today my fabric medium that is pearlescent. Of course, I use that a lot on just about all my quilts. I know some of you don't necessarily like it, but if you do, then there's plenty of shimmer in this. So I'm pouring myself out about the size of a 50% piece in my paint palette, and I have my water nearby with my brushes so that I can clean them as I go. And I'm going to move the gel pens off for a minute. We're not going to be using those right away. Those are usually used to highlight an already colored area after it's been colored with an Inktense pencil. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to zoom in here on the neck so that you can get a really good bird's eye view. And I apologize, I'm not the best videographer, but hopefully you'll be able to understand and see what it is I'm doing as I go along. So the turtle's neck, right here in these what I call feathered areas, are done with the sun yellow, the sienna gold, and the tangerine. So I'm going to move my other pencils out of the way for the time being so they're not in the way. And this is relatively easy. I think if anybody has ever looked at any of the other videos that people have out there for Inktense pencils, you'll see that this is a fairly easy process. And I'm only going to do this one side because basically you'll do the same thing for the other. I always start with my lightest color first. And in this particular turtle, it's actually done to the edge. But I actually, when I start coloring, I actually use with the lightest color, I usually work about halfway up the neck or the area that I'm going to be coloring, and making sure that I get my pencil coloring right up against the edge of the stitch line. Okay. And I'm not super fancy, by the way. I just color it with kind of a medium hand, meaning I'm not scribbling hard. And now I'm going to go to my sienna gold, and I'm going to overlap the colors just a bit. Now, I'm not putting a whole lot of sienna gold, just about kind of maybe a quarter of the total area to be colored, but I am overlapping with the yellow. Okay. And now I'm going to go to my tangerine and color the rest of the area. Again, overlapping on top of the sienna gold and all the way up to the end of the turtle's neck. Okay, get this area down again. I'm not coloring it 100% perfect. I'm just laying down enough color to do that. And so now I'm going to grab a paper towel real quick. If you have been soaking your paintbrushes, which I tend to do on a regular basis, when I pull one out, and let's see what size I want. For this area, since it's a rather large area, I'm going to pull out this slanted brush. Now you may think, oh, well, there's still blue on there, but actually because this is a Taklon brush, it tends to absorb color sometimes if I leave it on too long. So try not to do that. Make sure you dry it off really, really good. We do not want any water on any of, excuse me, any of our areas because it will cause the color to bleed. And I'm going to start with the yellow first and just start laying down my color. And I'm going to kind of use a scrubbing motion between the yellow and the sienna gold. And notice that it kind of drags some of that color down, which I like. And I'm just going to go across, again, scrubbing that color, trying to make any pencil lines go away. Scrub the color. And work my brush right up to the edge. You can come back a little later and come in with more color, but I really want to blend those two colors very well together. Now likewise, once I've done that, I'm going to come up here to the orange and now work my way down. And again, a good scrub where the two colors meet. And you'll see now that the lines becomes very indistinct as far as where one color stops and one color begins. And just keep dragging the color down. Okay, and I'm going to get this last area here real quick. Now, this orange isn't quite as deep as I might want it, so while your work is still wet, come back with your orange. And it doesn't matter how you hold the pencil, but start coloring in deeper towards the top to really fill in the coloring. Okay, and I can kind of carry it down all the way here, kind of at a slight angle. Notice I'm not, I try not to leave too defined area where my pencil stops. And again, since it's still wet, all I have to do is try to drag that color down. It gets a really nice blend. And I think I also want to pull a little bit more of the sienna gold. So the same thing, I'm going to come in and just lightly color over where I had sienna gold before. Again, this is still wet. And it takes about, after about 10 minutes, you'll find that this is dry are getting dry. So if you have to go over it again, say after 10 minutes, you'll want to wet it down with more fabric medium. And that's looking pretty good. I'm really happy with that. I think that looks pretty darn close to the, and don't worry if you get out, you know, if you make mistakes with inside the area, you're going to overcolor it later, so most of that will be covered up. It's only if you get on the outside here that you need the boo-boo pins for. All right, well, I'm very happy with that. Now, another quick, I'm going to do it on this side, another quick way to do this is if you want to go ahead and get, and I don't care that there's still some color on my brush because it's going to basically be the same color, and I'm just going to color this neck, this lower neck area with fabric medium. And again, starting with the lightest color first, I'm going to come in and just color with a little bit. Notice, see how easy it is. It slides on very easy because you've got that wet surface. Okay, there's the sun yellow. Then I'm going to come back in with a bit of the sienna gold. And don't worry about it being perfect. You're going to blend all this with your brush. And then last but not least, the tangerine. And I really like a strong color against that dark black line around the turtle. That's the cutting line, by the way, and we'll talk about that later as far as creating appliques from this. And so once again, I just bring the orange down into the sienna gold and bring the sienna gold down into the yellow. And that's just about it. So quick, easy way to do blending with Inktense pencils, two different ways. The first way is called dry on dry, dry pencil on dried fabric. The second way is wet on dry. You wet the fabric with the fabric medium and then color over it. I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, there are plenty of videos and documents on my website, www.medinadomarts.com, medinadomarts.com. Thanks for watching and happy coloring.